Steve Milhausen here, sportingnews.com, along with WrestleZone.com writer Josh Lopez. And I don't have a name for this show yet because I just don't. So I keep getting this question a lot, and I don't have one, Josh, so I don't have a big, giant answer for everybody on the name of a show yet. But we'll figure it out soon. I'm in no big hurry to have a name yet. We're going to be the Unknown Show. That's going to be the name for now.
It's what's best for business. We'll work it out from here and there.
Oh, you sound like my man Hunter, and we got a lot to talk about today. We got to talk about Friday Night Smackdown. Not Friday. I keep saying Friday Night Smackdown. I got to stop.
Yep.
Thursday Night Smackdown. WWE.
You wish it was Friday.
Actually, yes and no, because this weekend there's nothing going on. So after tomorrow, I don't really have nothing to do for work-wise, so that's always good, which I do miss. There'll be a couple of days off of doing nothing, but there's really never nothing. I got some stuff to work on maybe Saturday, but we got WWE Financials. We got to talk about the latest on ADR, and then actually good news for TNA, and of course good news for Ring of Honor. So, but we will get into Thursday Night Smackdown. And Josh, what were your thoughts on tonight's show?
I thought it's a solid SmackDown show. Obviously, when you dub your show like a Halloween show, you're not going to get anything overly spectacular or whatever. And usually in these cases of SmackDown, it's like you have some good wrestling matches, but you don't really have any consequential storylines that help build towards pay-per-view. So you have like little character development promos here and there, but it's just mostly matches and some raw replays here and there. But tonight I thought it was a very good, not a very good show, but a very solid show. Like I gave it a B+ for my article I did for WrestleZone tonight. It kept me on my toes. I even did the campy stuff with Bo Dallas in the backstage area. I thought was pretty funny, and the Trick or Treat street fight with Miz and Dolph Ziggler was solid. I love the opening segment with Bray Wyatt and then how they closed the show in that 6-man tag match. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty solid.
And I'm reintroducing. I'm like 10 weeks behind on SmackDown. We said this last night, and you know what? This show flew by. It was just like Raw. It didn't seem long. I thought it flowed really well. I thought we saw some intriguing things that I'd like to see in the future. I thought the opener with Reigns and Owens, something I think we'll see in the future. So I thought, I liked the way that it went there. I loved the main event. We saw one little campy Halloween thing with Ziggler and Miz, but at least Ziggler went over, so you the right guy went over.
Yeah, Tyler Breeze.
I love me some Tyler Breeze. My wife really likes the selfie stick. She's been wanting one of these. We went to the Luke Bryan concert last night, and she's like, I really want that selfie stick. She's like, like that wrestler has, because she was watching part of Raw with me, and she really liked it, and I'm like, no. But I think the thing is kind of cool, I guess, if I had... I guess. I don't know. What do you make of the selfie stick? Would you buy a selfie stick? That is the question I have for you.
Would I buy a selfie stick? Absolutely not. That's just me. I guess it works with him because it works with this type of era we're in, with technology and all that stuff and being flamboyant. I kind of relate Tyler Breeze to Zoolander these days, the 2015 version of Zoolander. But what I like about his presentation so far in the main roster is that it's not too much far away from what he did on NXT, but he's also showing a more aggressive side, not taking it a joke and not being too over top with the robes and the selfie stick and all that. That's what I like about Tyler Breeze so far.
I like, and that's what I like doing. Is the one thing I really have noticed is the fact that they've really cut out the BS with him. Just let him be tough guy. And I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I think really well done. Really well done. And props to WWE for doing that. Because it could really been like, we're going to keep this what you did in NXT, and we're going to keep it that way. They haven't done that, and that's a testament that I think the WWE, and they should get a lot of credit for that. And I'm looking forward to this program. At first, I was a little like, I don't know. But now the more I've seen it, the last, this last and SmackDown,
Yeah,
I think well done, and I'm actually looking forward to the program.
I agree with you. Obviously, when you see Tyler Breeze for the first time, usually people think like, oh, he's just another Dolph Ziggler, or he's going to be the guy that replaced Dolph Ziggler's role in the company. I don't think Ziggler's going anywhere. He just signed a new contract, so he'll still be there for a couple more years. I don't know if he'll be there in 15 years, but just hit where the iron's hot, I guess. I mean, it's a feud that makes sense for both guys. They have both similar characters. It's something in the mid card. Both of these are talented performers. I think it's pretty obvious Tyler Breeze would get over in this feud, in my opinion, Steve. So I'm all fine for it. I mean, I know there's not a title at stake here or number one contendership, but in this case, I don't mind this feud, actually.
No, I don't either. And programs where either guy gets over. I think you can tell right now they want to push Dolph just because of what's going on. I think that's the right move. He has the more well-known name, so I think in that aspect, I think that is the right move. So, no, what they're doing, I think right now is really good with him. So I look forward to that, and I like the women match actually. It wasn't long, but I like the purpose it served with Team Bad. Natalia really kind of being without a partner, without a cause, without a faction.
Yeah.
So I kind of like what they're doing with her. I think Sasha Banks, something about Sasha Banks, I said it when she walked up, man, she is fucking sexy. Wow.
Yeah.
I love Sasha. I love me a little Sasha Banks, and I like the character. She comes out and just oozes confidence. And the fans, she gets the best reaction right now out of all the women.
Yeah. I agree with you, Stephen. When I see Sasha Banks, besides Paige, I think she's the sexiest woman in wrestling today, in my opinion.
Even Paige has gotten good looking.
Yeah.
And I think Paige had some enhancement done, though. And I have no problem with that.
Maybe she's grown on you. I always thought Paige was super hot, man. But even in this case, like you mentioned before, I think she's great. She has aggressive ability. People can buy into her stick. Once again, like I was mentioning about Tyler Breeze, she kind of fits this era of women in a more over the top way. And sometimes being over the top is not a bad thing, but execution is where it matters the most. And I think Sasha Banks fits that mold in the perfection in her gimmick. And I think eventually down the road, and I think you'll be in agreement with me here, Steve, that she needs to be by herself. But I think Naomi's underrated. Tamina is just there. I'm sorry, she's just been there for the last 3 years. I don't know her purpose there, but anytime I see Sasha Banks on my TV, it's must-watch TV. And you can't say that for a lot of women these days.
Oh, come on. What's wrong with Tamina? She throws a mean super kick. Come on. That super kick's pretty nasty, dude. Come on.
Yeah. I'll give you that. But are we really going to buy that Tamina's going to be going for a Divas Championship? I remember going to the Chamber pay-per-view in Milwaukee a few years ago. It was right before the first Rock and Cena match.
Okay.
And they were starting to push Tamina. And she was going against Beth Phoenix, I think. And that moment right there, I was like, nope, it's just not going to happen. Yes, she has the family trees. She has her father's last name, but she doesn't have a connection with the audience whatsoever. And her Superfly Slash is not that great either.
No?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Tamina. Really am. She gets a bad rap, don't get me wrong, and she's been a little clunky at times, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And, I like the fact that they're making her the muscle.
Yeah.
You kind of need that. You got the muscle. You know who the star is.
Yeah.
You really do. And Naomi's a good hit. And I think Naomi is very underrated, and I don't think gets a lot of. She's very athletic, and I think her and Alicia Fox. I'm really a fan of Alicia Fox because she's very sound. She's athletic, and I don't think she gets enough credit either. And I like where the women are going right now. They're giving these women a purpose. But where before you didn't have a purpose with them. And I think that's great to see. If you want to call it a Divas Revolution, I call it a Women's Revolution. Let's throw out that diva shit. It's a women's revolution, and I like what they're doing. And for once, instead of turning the channel or going up and going to the bathroom, grabbing a drink, grabbing something to eat.
Yeah.
I'm just not. And, that's just one of those things right now. And it's good to see, and I give WWE credit for that. They had to get a little kick in the ass thanks to the rowdy one, Ronda Rousey, but it's good to see that the WWE finally stepped up and giving these women a legitimate chance.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think from my standpoint, Steve, coming down the road, I think the best case scenario here for the Divas division is that you have Charlotte versus Sasha Banks for the Divas Championship. I think the belts have improved a lot more Nikki on this end over the year as far as her in-ring work and as a character, because where maybe you should say, there's not really that much heels that have genuine heat with the fans. I think Nikki Bella does. It's not the turn the channel or the stupid label X-Pac heat anymore. She's a genuine heel, and I think they need to move away from this always having to go to the well of the Bellas in the Divas Championship picture. So you got three different storylines here with Paige. You got Paige against with Charlotte actually. Well, there's like 5 feuds going on with the Divas right now, if you think about it.
And I like it, though, but they're giving the women, like you said, Josh, they're giving the women something to do.
Yeah.
That's nice to see. That's refreshing. Holy shit, that's refreshing. And hopefully this continues. I really hope it does. And, we'll kind of just we'll go down this really quick here. Owens, like we were saying earlier, the Wyatts actually, Roman Reigns opened the show. Talked to the promo about being, I've been knocked down a lot, but I keep picking myself back up, and Bray Wyatt's now behind me, and I'm focusing on Seth Rollins and winning the WWE title, and Owens came out. They had a match. But Owens said he would be the number one contender if he hit Reigns with the pop-up powerbomb.
Yeah.
I like Reigns kept the short, simple, to the point, like he did on Raw, and this is what Reigns needs to do. That led into a match. Reigns won by countout. Reigns got him to the outside after a German suplex. Owens grabbed the belt, said, forget this noise, got out of here, and it's the right move. Because the fans that were behind it on Raw, the fans were behind this match on SmackDown. This is a match you can go to down the line. This is a pay-per-view main event very easily. I want to see more of these guys because they're both over. And I think down the line, we're eventually going to see this, Josh.
Yeah, I agree with you. And especially maybe after WrestleMania, let's say Reigns has the title, you could have Owens go against Reigns for the title. That's a feud I could buy into a summer feud or something after WrestleMania where you don't have a wall stretch. That would be a feud that people would be interested in the main event scene. Also, what I really liked about this promo, like you mentioned, Reigns went quick to the point, but also for some reason, I'd seen like anytime Kevin Owens comes out, and yes, he's a heel, but every time he comes out and he talks to like one of those guys like John Cena or Roman Reigns, he just basically says the same thing that guys like you or me or any people on the internet say about a particular guy, and he minds like, oh my God, Reigns, yeah. Reigns. I like how Owens finds a balance of, he's a bad guy, but he still finds some jabs that work towards the guy he's feuding with. Exactly,
and that's the thing is, and WWE lets him do it. Is okay. Yeah. Here's what we want. This is what you need to talk about. Go ahead and rock and roll, and that's what he does. And I'm glad. And it's a refreshing thing to see. He speaks for the common man and what the fans are thinking, and that's a very valid point. And then we got Dean Ambrose talking to his girlfriend. Yes, his girlfriend. Yes, he's dating
Lucky man.
Oh my God, yes. Oh. The sexiest woman in all of sports and entertainment broadcasting, the good old Renee Young, and talked about the open challenge against the Wyatts at the end of the show. Ambrose said, hell yeah, looking for some partners. And then we see Bo Dallas dressed as a ghost and told Renee Young that he is Boo Dallas. Renee didn't look too happy. Coming up, I feel bad for Bo Dallas, by the way, but that. I want to believe. Give this guy a break. Come on, give him a little bit of a push. I'm a fan of Bo Dallas. Next, the Dudleys against Sheamus, King Barrett, the Ascension, and the Lucha Dragons in a 4-way tag match. They really didn't say if this was for the #1 contendership. Kind of like it. I thought a solid match. Lucha Dragons did win the match. They pinned Victor from Kalisto got the pin. He pinned Victor from the Ascension, and seems like this month the Lucha Dragons will get a tag title shot against the New Day, and I think it'd be a pretty damn good match.
Yeah. I think you got to mix it up here. You can't do Dudley and New Day for a couple straight pay-per-views like that. Continue on. What I liked about this match, Steve, was the commentary from Big E and Kofi Kingston. I was literally crying in tears.
I love that commentary. That commentary is awesome. Just on the mic in general is worth me investing my time of sipping water, aka Captain and Coke, and listening to them. They're humorous. I get a kick out of them every single time they open their mouths.
Yeah, Big E just doing the general announcer's voice.
And I like how he does like that little shake, that little dance. I'm like, don't get me wrong. I'm straight as an arrow, but God forbid.
Yeah. I was kind of 50-50 at first if I ever thought Kofi Kingston was going to work as a heel, but this guy just developed a trash-talking game. It's just this like a typical high school guy challenge you in a Madden tournament or something. Oh, you ain't nothing, son. Shame on you. Shame on you. But besides that, yeah.
I agree with that. I had my doubts too. It's a very good and a great point, Josh. I had that same thing. Can he work as a heel? That was kind of because he's always been the happy-go-lucky Jamaican babyface, even though he's from New York. Yay! It worked, though. It really did. From Ghana. That's where they had him from. And it worked.
Yeah.
I think I miss Xavier. I'm ready to see some Xavier Woods. I need the trombone.
He needs to come off the vacation.
He'll be back from his honeymoon. He should be on Raw this coming week, and
hopefully.
But I thought a fairly good match. I want to see the Lucha Dragons. I like Kalisto.
Yeah.
I think he can really be a star. I wish they would give him more of a chance. The reason they brought in ADR was, they thought Kalisto bombed, but they really didn't give Kalisto a chance. So, but that was okay. And next we had the. And I don't know what it was, tape or black stuff under. Miz tried for the figure 4. Ziggler countered in the small package for the win. Then out came our man Tyler Breeze and attacked Ziggler. And you know what I wish what he would do is beat up Dolph with the selfie stick.
I mean, he did that. First. Yeah, he did that the first.
I want to see. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about it. I want that to be a consistent thing.
Yeah,
Please be consistent.
It's been 2 weeks now. They've been doing more of the storyline thing with Breeze and Ziggler on SmackDown. Some little things here. Before I move on with this match, I just want to mention a couple of little things from the previous match I didn't get to say. Once again, the Dudleys again making maybe a cold match on paper entertaining. That double what's up spot with the Lucha Dragons. I thought that was kind of funny. Sheamus and Barrett, a reasonable and believable tag team. I think that could work. And the Ascension weren't that crappy in this match. So I thought that was pretty cool. But back to this match, this one was entertaining too. Dolph Ziggler got really, really quick-paced offense at the beginning of the match. The candlestick to the pumpkin head of Miz, that was hilarious. But also seeing Miz's mean side after that, when Miz drew Ziggler over the top rope and Jerry was like, uh-oh, this is getting serious. And I thought that was a nice touch. And usually a match like this is all about funny and entertaining spots. I like the aggression there. Breeze a little bit more subtle attack this time
Yeah.
on Ziggler as opposed to his debut the week prior. It's going to be one step at a time. I hope they do a little bit more of this on Raw, instead of having Breeze sitting out there watching Ziggler's matches.
Now, back to what you were saying about the Dudleys. What do you do now with the Dudleys?
That's an interesting question.
What are they at this point? I don't even know. I looked like they were going to get the tag titles. I thought maybe a nice little run, maybe for a couple months, maybe lose them at the Rumble, maybe lose them at Mania. But now it's like, what do you do with them? I like the Barrett and Sheamus team. Hopefully it seems like they're going to keep these guys together. So hopefully they stick together, because I think they can. We were talking about this on Sunday, following the Hell in a Cell recap. And by the way, make sure you watch that, please. But, no, but I thought it was them together, I think, is very, very interesting. Hopefully they keep them together.
Yeah, I agree with you. For me, I think the Dudley Boyz, in some way, it could be agents for this tag team division as far as like setting up matches and how like putting a match together back behind the scenes. Also, at the same time, I think it's not a bad thing to put them on the side for a couple months. Like I mentioned earlier, you don't want to drag this New Day Dudley feud for 6 or 7 straight pay-per-views.
No.
Just because they're not fighting for the title this month or maybe at TLC isn't the worst thing in the world. I do think eventually the Dudley Boyz will get their 10th tag team titles. But in the meantime, I think what's important right now, Steve, long term, is having these guys backstage, adding that advice to the tag team division and helping these guys grow, especially like guys like the Ascension, the Lucha Dragons, whenever Big Cass and Enzo come up to the main roster, or the Vaudevillains.
Oh, I love me some Enzo and Cass. I like me some Vaudevillains. All these guys, they assigned 19 people to NXT at the Performance Center, and they got to start bringing some guys up here. So hopefully they can bring up some of these tag teams and see some Enzo and Cass and the Vaudevillains hopefully coming up real soon. And forget the Ascension. I'm over that charade. I'm over that mess. But I'm a Lucha Dragons guy, so I want to see the Lucha Dragons get a shot, and hopefully they do. And I like this is the guy. He's a good heel. But it's kind of like he's stuck in like a lot of these guys mid-card purgatory.
Yeah.
So it's like come on. It's like, what are they going to do with these guys? What are you going to do with them? Like he's good with the media. I've talked to him before. He's great to talk to. Very nice guy. Excuse me. He knows what to say, but it's just I want to see him give him a push. Let's see what he can do because the fans boo him. He's a good heel, but for some reason, they think he's nothing more than a mid-card. Then we got to the Paige Natalya match, and Natalya did a nice little job there by Sasha, talking a little smack. I thought that was a little interesting, and they attacked Natalya. Paige hit the what's it called? The PTO or the Rampage? I'm sorry.
Yeah, the Rampage.
Hit the Rampage. 1, 2, 3. Then Team Bad kicked the shit out of Natalya. Tamina did a super kick. I don't know what Naomi did. She did like a cool foot thing to the throat, and then the bank statement by Sasha Banks. Tapped out. Sasha did a nice little dance. Yes, a very nice dance. God, man, she's engaged though, unfortunately.
She is?
Yeah. I found out she's engaged to someone backstage in WWE, like I don't know if it's like a camera guy or a dress person or Sasha.
Oh, okay.
Sasha. So Paige won the match. It seems like we'll get Natalya and Sasha or Team Bad maybe against Becky Lynch and Natalya, maybe Survivor Series. Maybe we get a women's elimination match. Maybe so. Maybe we're getting a little bit of a setup for that. Yeah. Then the main event was I take that back, and they hyped up the main event. They talked about Del Rio beating Cena. Ambrose was taping up his fist, getting ready for the main event. He saw Ryback working out there, saying, "Feed me more." Ambrose asked him to be in the match, and Ryback said, why not? I need to eat tonight, so I'm going to feed me more. I like Ryback, though. And then we saw it went commercial. ADR out with Zeb Coulter. I love that John Laurinaitis scooter. That's absolutely golden. Absolutely golden. The good old people power. People power. I'm John Laurinaitis. Coulter said they are hardworking and proud, and they renamed the United States title the Mex-America Championship. And the fans lustily, I like the name, the Mex-America Championship.
I'm interested where they're going to go with this. I can't say that these guys are going to be with each other forever. I guess that's the intriguing part about this pairing, because on paper you seeing this like, oh my god, these guys had like not a blood feud, but it was heated when Del Rio feud with Swagger before WrestleMania 29 when that gimmick with Coulter debuted, and you see this 2 years later, and you're like, oh, I guess they made their fences were made, and they're best buddies or whatever. So I can see down the road maybe this could be a mirage as opposed to what Zeb Coulter said tonight, saying that it was not a mirage. I think, who knows, maybe this would be setting up somebody to attack Del Rio from behind, and actually Coulter just made a plan to use Del Rio, so maybe one of his guys gets an opportunity at the U.S. title.
I think eventually he will turn, ADR will turn babyface. They need that babyface Hispanic star. He's the guy. I think they can do it. They're paying him obviously more than enough money, but it's well deserved, by the way, just for what he's done outside the ring since he left WWE. But I like the pairing. People are still. I'm warming up to it now. I'm getting more intrigued. I was lukewarm about it at Hell in a Cell. I was still a little bit lukewarm about it on Raw, but after tonight, I got more excited. I got more enthused about it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do here, seeing who his program is going to be with. There are reports, unconfirmed, that Cena will be returning for TLC, and ADR will be facing Cena, but that is not confirmed. Obviously, that's speculation right now, so we'll see what happens after Survivor. But I'm interested to see what they do with Del Rio at Survivor Series. I would like to see what they're going to do with him. I think that will be very interesting. And then they had Del Rio face R-Truth, and R-Truth was not singing tonight, so he wasn't at an ICP concert. He was actually wrestling, and ADR did a pretty quick match, and I had a problem with this match, though. Well, I knew Del Rio was going to win.
Yeah.
But why are we need a cross-arm breaker?
I'm
very confused.
I don't think that's a banned move or something, because let's say like Ronda came to WWE, right? And she performed on there weekly or blah 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 blah, whatever her schedule would be if she ever agreed to work for WWE. Obviously, people would expect her to finish people off with the arm breaker, because that's what she's known for. Obviously, people know Del Rio for the arm breaker. It's been 2 weeks. I don't know if the move is banned. I seen him tease it in this match with Neville on Raw, so I didn't see any reports about Vince being upset about Del Rio teasing it. It was the signature move in WWE, so I don't see what the problem is. I don't mind the double foot stomp. It's effective. It's just I think maybe like when people like complain about, oh, Finn Balor doesn't have the demon paint on all the time. Maybe you could have Del Rio use that move on pay-per-views or matches that matter. When you're taking on somebody like R-Truth, no offense, maybe you don't need the cross-arm breaker to do it all the time.
Oh, what's wrong with R-Truth? He's a WWE superstar, damn it!
And a former TNA World Heavyweight Champion.
He is a former NWA TNA World Heavyweight Champion. He needs a former WWE Tag Team Champion. You need to and he main evented a Survivor Series against The Rock and John Cena. You need to give this man the respect he deserves, Josh Lopez.
He needs to be a heel
right now.
He needs to be a heel. That's when he does his best work.
I do very much agree with that, and we now get to the main event: Luke Rowan and Braun Strowman against Dean Ambrose, Cesaro, Ryback. I was a little disappointed Bray Wyatt wasn't in this match, but Ryback got took the beating for a little while, and then tagged in Dean Ambrose, and then Cesaro got tagged in, and Antonio Cesaro is my WWE Superstar of the Week. This guy had an awesome week. He is fucking. Sorry for my language. I don't think the word fuck on a podcast, but god damn it, he's fucking awesome. Give this a push. Jesus Christ. Why is he taking the pinfall here? Ryback could have taken that pinfall without a problem.
Yeah. I totally agree with you.
Pisses me.
The sequence towards the end made sense to me. However, I love the spear Ryback gave to Strowman over the announce table. That was really nice. And then Harper gave Ambrose a super kick, which I was kind of surprised. I thought maybe Ambrose would take the pin in this situation, actually. But overall, I thought the match was pretty good, actually. You know, like you mentioned, Cesaro's the freaking man. I love what he does, man. The crowd is buying in every time he goes on that Cesaro Uppercut Express or whatever he calls it. It's awesome. But I thought it made sense that the Wyatts were going to win here. I love the pairing of all four guys together. I think it helped Bray look more stronger as a dominant force, just sitting in a rocking chair and just having his monsters just do all the work for him. And he comes in when he has to. Like, he's the last person to hit the final nail in the coffin if there was a babyface getting the advantage of the family.
You know, we got a lot of people watching, so I want to thank everyone for watching so far. I'm Steve Mielhaus on SportingNews.com, going with from WrestleZone.com and the Pro Wrestling Experience on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com, Josh Lopez, and we're just glossing up here over WWE Thursday Night Smackdown, and I agree, you know, about everything you said with Cesaro, but now maybe do we see Undertaker, Kane, and maybe Cesaro? And Ambrose is part of Team Undertaker? Maybe right? I don't know.
Well, as you mentioned Bo Dallas earlier, I know you said in the Hell in a Cell recap show that we did that you wanted Bo to be part of the family. so if you're going to go the 5-5 route, I guess you can make sense to put Cesaro, Ambrose, and Ryback there. I'm still holding out hope maybe it'd be someone like Sting to be in this match.
Yeah, you
want a surprise like that. But I wouldn't mind if Ambrose and Cesaro were in this match. But I'm not putting Ambrose in this match because all these segments that he's been having with Roman Reigns over the past couple weeks makes me feel like he's going to get involved in the Reigns-Rollins WWE Championship match.
I think maybe we'll get Daniel Bryan. Maybe we'll get... There's tons of names right now.
Hey, there you go. Cesaro. Hey, there you go, Steve. Cesaro and Bryan. Cesaro could work fine with one of the big guys. Then you have Daniel Bryan go against Bray Wyatt. These guys had a history with each other, so yeah.
What is your grade of this week's SmackDown?
I gave this week's SmackDown a solid B. I thought pretty solid show, maybe 84 out of 100 if I want to be particular. But
84. I'm in math class, and you're giving a grade. We're basing this on a math curve. So you're getting, damn it, an 84% Thursday Night SmackDown.
Yeah. You know, it was a Halloween-themed show, but what I liked about it, like I mentioned to you before we went on there, that they added some storylines into this thing. They didn't overlook certain things. I like what we talked about earlier about the Divas having different storylines on the side, but still the focus has to be on the Divas Championship, so we'll see what they do on Raw with Charlotte and Paige, because I think that's the direction they're going to go, is Charlotte and Paige. So who knows? Maybe Team Bad gets involved in that too, and maybe get a triple threat match. Maybe that'd be something I would like. But overall, I thought the matches were solid. Besides Del Rio and Truth, I liked the pairing of Del Rio, but it was a squash match.
Yeah.
The main event was really good in my opinion, and the Reigns Owens thing I thought was really solid too. And I didn't think both guys got negatively affected by the count-out finish. So
no.
I love to see that feud down the road. So yeah, it's a solid B for me.
No, it's a solid show. I agree. I give it a solid B as well. You know, like you said, I don't even mind the squash match. I'm glad we actually see some of those. It's nice to see it. You know, we don't get that enough anymore to where you're getting a couple of minutes of a squash. So I thought very well done by another good show. It wasn't, like you said, Josh, your typical Halloween, your typical holiday show. They stuck to storylines, and I thought a job well done by WWE. They had a good week. Yeah. Now we get the next week. Now we got to build the Survivor Series. So let's see if WWE can continue this momentum that they're on here in. Some news today, the quarterly last year where it was $120 million in revenue, and they lost $5.9 million. So on that alone, thumbs up for WWE there. That is fantastic. It was all due to the up cost of starting the network. So you can see now the turnaround here, a lot of revenue. I thought that was well done. The growth made 60. They went up $23 million. They made $65.2 million in TV revenue. That's just due to the increasing number of the television. With the new deal with NBC Universal, Total Divas. Tough enough. But I thought the very revealing thing was the network number. 1.233 million paid subscribers and 73,000 free subscribers. That's up from the 1.5 million at the end of June, but down from the 1.33 million after WrestleMania. I think that's a success, Josh. Your numbers are up and you're making money. Your TV revenue is up, and your subscriptions are up from June. I think that's a win for WWE. Very good news.
Not only a good week on TV, but also a good week in business, and especially during this part of the year, where let's use this in baseball terms. There's 162 games throughout baseball season. In baseball, you start in April and your destination is October. In wrestling, your destination starts in April, as opposed to USA Network saying the season premiere of Raws or in September or whatever. But honestly, the destination is the night after WrestleMania all the way to maybe the end of March or whatever the next WrestleMania is. And usually this part of the year is where they have a lull, whether it's on quarterly results, network subscriptions, or the product, because usually I hear it a lot in podcasts, the fall, where you don't get as much sizzle on the product where you want to see the shows. There's some stalemate in between the months of October and November, usually.
Yeah.
With what's been happening over the last couple weeks, and you have the new show Breaking Ground on the WWE Network, Table for Three. I like what they're doing advertising on the WWE Network. I'd like to see some more stuff added to it, but I think it's a good sign. And it goes back to what you just mentioned before we got into this report here. Consistency. I think if you're consistent on your TV product, I think that'll also help in your stocks and everything else business-wise as you head towards the end of the year. And that's the main goal you need to address here, especially if you want to convince people to bring 100,000 people at AT&T Stadium for WrestleMania.
$287,000 from the same point last year in the United States, and up 215,000 from last year internationally. So more international growth, more growth here in the United States, and that's very good news for WWE, because now they launched in India on Monday, and China and Japan and Germany will be getting the network in January. And they're working on China, Thailand, and the Philippines. So this number is going to continue to go up.
Yeah.
It's going to continue to go up. But the shocking thing was the stock fell. $2.
It's sensitive these days.
But after doing some research and kind of looking here, and this is from the Wrestling Observer, but it's not, they said it wasn't a surprise given the big ramp up leading to the call based on the buy on hype, sell on results mantra. So I can kind of see why it went down. Still shocking though, just based on the fact that all the numbers are up. But kind of a couple other little things they had here. The most watched show on the network was the October 3rd special from the Garden, where Brock Lesnar and the Big Show.
Mm-hmm.
It was the most watched network show to date, with the exception of regular Sunday pay-per-views. The Beast in the East did well with Brock and Kofi Kingston, and the Takeover show, as well as the Stone Cold podcasts and Swerve. So, I think overall, I think that's good news for WWE. you can't really complain too much if you're WWE today. So the stock went down a little bit, but I look at everything else. I look at that all as a positive.
Yeah, I think it's a process with this new network. We're in the second year of actually having this network being streamed and out to everybody now these days. It's going to be a process, and I don't know, maybe in 5 years we'll see what the actual consistent trend of the network is, because still, even though it's October now and we've been in the year of the network, it's still key to me to get out here and there. I think shows like Beast in the East and the MSG special are a good attraction to the network because, besides waiting 4 weeks for a regular pay-per-view, people want to see more content. I always see people talking about, hey, it'd be cool to see a house show here and there, maybe some different type of matchups. And speaking of house shows and these type of specials on the network, Steve, I heard a report saying that Brock Lesnar is going to be at the Forum in Los Angeles on December 19th. And it's a potential that it could be a WWE Network special, in case of point like the Beast in the East or the MSG special. I don't know if there's ever been a professional wrestling show at the Forum. All I know about the Forum is that that's the home of the Eagles, if you will, in Hotel California. But I never heard about a wrestling show at the Forum. Do you have any history on that? I think it's pretty cool, actually.
I've done a lot of stuff at the Forum in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And for people that don't know, they did a lot of shows there in the 90s, but WWE has I'm trying to remember the last time WWE went there. Give me 1 second. Let me pull it up really quickly. Because that report you did say is true. Brock will be wrestling on December the 19th. I think that's interesting too, because there's a UFC show that night.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be on Fox with Donald Dos Santos for the lightweight title, Alistair Overeem Jr. Dos Santos, and yes, he'll be wrestling on December 19th. Let's see. No, right now there's no indication if this is going to be a network special. There's no decision based on that yet. But John Cena is also on this show. I think that's interesting as well. But good to see Brock scattered house shows. You figure he's going to wrestle in the big markets.
Yeah.
The Japanese show in New York, out in LA. I think next show, when a house show comes to Chicago, I think he'll be on that show as well. So, this is a good move because, he's your biggest draw. And if you got to sell tickets, this is the guy that can sell tickets. So I think a very smart move by WWE.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. And for Chicago-based shows, I don't think we've been getting the best out of it over the past couple years. I think the Chicago crowd has helped gimmick pay-per-views grow, like Payback. The first two Paybacks were in Chicago, and there were solid pay-per-views because of the crowd. The cards beforehand on paper didn't look that appealing to you, but you've been to a Payback pay-per-view before. Yeah. I've been to both of them, and they were good pay-per-views. I think the Money in the Bank pay-per-view got a really big buzz as a gimmick pay-per-view because of the Chicago crowd when they were here for 2011 when we had that Cena Punk match.
Yeah.
So WWE in Chicago, they've been giving us a lot of gimmicky type of pay-per-views, and I think it's time, and I think you'd agree with me, as far as the big market is concerned, they need to bring at least a more marquee type of pay-per-view to the city.
I do. I do it. And the pay-per-view numbers are, yes, people still buy pay-per-views, JBL. As much as the chagrin of John Bradshaw Layfield.
And Jerry Lawler.
And Jerry the King Lawler, WWE still does sell pay-per-views. Let's see, Battleground, which was headlined by Brock and Seth. 80,000 buys, down from 90, and this is from courtesy of your site, WrestleZone.com. So I'm giving WrestleZone a little shout out here. 99,000 buys from 2014, down to 80,000. SummerSlam, headlined by Brock and Taker, 121,000, which is shockingly down. It was down from 147 in 2014, headlined by Brock Lesnar against John Cena.
Yeah.
That's good news for WWE. Night of Champions, which was Seth Rollins and Sting for the title. Last year's main event of Brock Lesnar against John Cena. 48,000 buys in 2014, and for Rollins and Sting, 77,000. So does Sting hit a little bit of an uptick there, and that's
really telling right there.
Why do you think that's telling?
I think it's telling because, you know, people are kind of concerned over the booking about Sting being in WWE and all. They're going to just make him look like a joke because, oh, he's the last WCW guy. But Sting as a whole is doing great business for the company. I think there's been more people that have been subscribed to the network when Sting debuted at Survivor Series last year. You had the new DVD. I haven't got to check out, but I heard from people that did get the new documentary on him. It's pretty good, actually. And, you know, did great business at WrestleMania. I marked out just being there at the event, seeing that moment with him, Triple H, NWO, and DX. And, you know, you having a match like him against a current-day guy, I think that's telling because you have a guy getting his first WWE Championship opportunity in his career going against a younger guy that's not really the marquee guy of the show. So I think that's telling for not only Sting, but also for Seth Rollins.
I couldn't agree more. And, you know, I think this shows that there's interest. Mm-hmm. Regardless of what anyone thinks, there's interest in Sting. Yeah. You know, and like you said, he helped drive that network number up in November. You know, they had a really good November because of his debut. And you look at the night after, they had over 5 million they had 5.5 million viewers wanting to see if he was going to come out on Raw. He didn't come out, fans turned it off. Naturally. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And also, he is a draw to a point. You know, bring him in doses like they did here, which I thought was well done. I think we see him again. I heard he's doing pretty good. Actually, his health is he's actually doing really well. So we'll see what happens with that. But maybe we do see him at Survivor Series. I don't know. But it shows here you're up 29,000. Where you look at Battleground down 19,000, SummerSlam down 26,000. Yeah, some stuff's going down, but then you get a number like this coming up. Man, I think that's a good sign. To me, this shows pay-per-view is also still alive, contrary to what WWE wants to think and wants to say. There's still a market for pay-per-view. Is it big because of the network? No. But you still can make some money, and why kill a revenue stream when it's not necessary?
Yeah, I agree with you on that point because, like we mentioned a bunch of times already on these type of podcasts, what's going to be the marquee attractions for your major pay-per-views coming up in the coming months? I think Rumble is going to be a big thing where they're going to have to pay attention to pay-per-view buys on that particular pay-per-view because I think that's also going to be a telling factor of how many people are actually interested on the road to WrestleMania. I think they need some marquee attractions on that particular pay-per-view. Then that leads to WrestleMania. I have a feeling if they're really going to go with the whole this could be the biggest WrestleMania of all time. This hasn't been done in maybe 5 or 10, no, my bad, 10, 11 years or so. But I honestly think, even though SummerSlam was 4 hours this year, I think WrestleMania this year would be 5 hours. Wow. If you want to get everything everybody wants to see on that main stage like that, like an old school Attitude Era WrestleMania that'd be 5 hours long, I think they'd go that route this year.
5 hours. Well, let's talk about that one on Monday. I have to rethink that a little bit. I hate covering that for an MMA show when I got to sit and cover it for 6 hours.
Yeah.
That boggles my mind alone, and that's MMA.
Yes.
Oh man, I gotta think about that one. I don't know. I don't know if I'm a fan of that idea, but a couple other little things here, and Ring of Honor and TNA in the ratings for both. TNA up. Wait, hold on. Let's say that wrong. I want to see. Give me 1 second here. All right. Impact. We'll start with TNA Impact. 164,000 total viewers. 266,000 for the first airing. 98,000 for the second. For the second airing. It's 37,000 viewers. What do you think of Impact being up that high, Josh?
I guess it's telling for a show that really sucked.
That show fucking blew.
Yeah.
There was nothing good about Impact. We talked about this yesterday. Impact sucked.
Yeah, we did.
I guess people like watching crap.
Oh man,
I guess it's
ridiculous.
That rating makes no sense.
That's the first viewing thing. It wasn't even DVR numbers. This is the first view. I saw that report today. I was like, wow, really? And especially the matches that are advertised beforehand. Like, who really wanted to see Grado? Well, I can't say anything because Grado and Drew Galloway helped TNA's ratings go up this week. So, what did I know?
But some good news that if you're a Ring of Honor fan, their highest number on Destination America, 227,000 total viewers. 227, up last week. Last week was 132, up 95,000 viewers. How is that? And I watched the Ring of Honor show, Josh, actually this morning.
Yeah, me too.
That was a great show.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my God, I love me some Ring of Honor.
Moose, man, he's the man.
Yeah, Moose. I love the main event. Mm-hmm. Red Dragon, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly, and Michael Elgin against the Kingdom of Adam Cole, Michael Bennett, and Matt Taven. That match was absolutely awesome.
Yes, it was.
Oh my God, a great main event.
Mm-hmm.
You got to see Dalton Castle, who I'm really starting to like. He's really getting over in my mind. I really like him, and I'm a fan of Moose. You know, 2 out of the last 3 weeks have been really good weeks for Ring of Honor. If their contract is up with Destination America at the beginning of December, it looks like TNA's is up in the beginning of January. If you're Destination America, they just announced a new general manager, and they're going to reevaluate everything, including wrestling. If you are Destination America, what do you do? Do you keep wrestling? Do you keep Ring of Honor? Do you keep TNA? Or do you keep both? Or neither?
I know the saying is good about any publicity is good publicity, but bad business is bad business. And ever since TNA went to Destination America, it's been bad business. Even though Ring of Honor was bumped down to the 10 p.m. Central Time slot now on Wednesday nights, I think it's a good sign that the ratings did go up a significant amount this week, and they got booted for Bigfoot, I guess, at that primetime spot they had. I'm not sure the particular show they had, but if it was up to me, Steve, I think Destination America would go with Ring of Honor because it's a trusted model. There's a fan base that loves their product, and I think you get more good business with Ring of Honor, honestly, in my opinion, right now than you would TNA.
No, I agree. You know, but I would go with Ring of Honor.
You wouldn't?
It's a more fresh product. You look at Ring of Honor is hot right now. Yeah. They had a great 2014, a great 2015. Last year they brought in AJ Styles. And that really, you could tell that really helped the morale of the locker room. And you look at this year, they brought in ADR for the first couple months of the year. Samoa Joe, we got to see him. He was on the March pay-per-view, so you had him for a little while until he went to WWE. And now the Young Bucks signed a very lucrative deal. So it seems like Ring of Honor is making some money. Sinclair Broadcasting is letting go of the purse strings a little bit. Hopefully they can get a couple more guys to come in. But right now, Ring of Honor is on fire, man. And there's an affiliation with New Japan, which is huge. They're trying to work on a relationship, from I'm told, with AAA. A little deal they had last year, even with ADR. So I think right now Ring of Honor is on a good little run here, like where you said about TNA. Like you said, how many more chances can you get? I said last night they had like 13,000 lives. I think if I'm Destination America, it'll be cheaper to have Ring of Honor. You agree to a deal. Ring of Honor, of course, I would demand to get paid. Yeah. This is just a barter deal. But you don't have to get extraordinary. It doesn't have to be a big, inordinate amount of money. You can maybe even give them half of what you were paying TNA. Mm-hmm. And that will help Ring of Honor bring more guys in. You could maybe bring in more guys in that maybe you weren't able to get before, maybe lock some more guys down to exclusive contracts like he did with the Young Bucks. If I'm Destination America, I'm keeping Ring of Honor.
Let me ask you this question. So Ring of Honor is still building the relationship with New Japan. I heard they're actually bringing a co-ROH New Japan show to Chicago in May of next year. Do you think it would be a good idea for Ring of Honor to do a traditional pay-per-view in Chicago?
Well,
I know they have a good track record at the Frontier Fieldhouse. That's been their ROH home base for Chicago for the past 10 years. But if you want to go a traditional pay-per-view route, I think it's time to change the venue this time. Maybe you could try the UIC Pavilion over here in Chicago, close by the expressway. You can get in and out. It's an idea I'm tossing out there, but what's your thoughts, Steve?
I'd like to see one of those be a pay-per-view. Don't get me wrong, because usually it seems like what their pay-per-view schedule is going to be, kind of from what I've been gathering, is March, June. They just had one. They had one in September. It seems like they're on like a 4 pay-per-view, a quarterly pay-per-view, which I think isn't the worst idea in the world. Maybe we get a May one. I think if everything worse, you could do an pay-per-view, but I think you need to. I think it's worth a shot. But the thing is, can Ring of Honor fill 5,000 seats? They haven't been proven to fill 5,000 seats. You'd really, AJ, you got the Young Bucks, you got Red Dragon, you got Adam Cole. Those are names, but
you got to take that risk. You never know if you can't fill it unless you actually give it a shot. I mean,
you can always scale it down.
And I know they run some bad timing sometimes, especially that ballpark shows they were doing in summer before SummerSlam.
Those did well.
Coincidence.
But those did a couple thousand. Those did they did about 2,500 for those, and that's not bad for Ring of Honor. That's for anyone in the baseball stadium, and that's pretty good for a non-WWE promotion. I thought that it's a really good number, but it's just I don't know if you scale it maybe to 3. I think they can fill 3. Can they fill 5,000, 5,500? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think so. If you scale it to 3, then I think they can. Yeah. Because the product is dead hot. Wrestling's wrestling's popular here in Chicago. You want to see a big product. TNA's got drawn big crowds at the Sears Center. If TNA can draw a great crowd, I think Ring of Honor can at least get 3,000 people. But that's a very valuable. But a good week. Now, let's see if this continues, though, with ROH and TNA. Hopefully, we do see continuing and rising numbers. And one final thing we'll get into is Alberto Del Rio. And we were talking yesterday about that situation with AAA, and not looking good for AAA. And WWE is confirmed with the Wrestling Observer that the ADR will be working Mondays Raw in Denver and SmackDown on Tuesday, and then going on the European tour where he will be on the Roman Reigns part of the tour. AAA thought he would be fulfilling the advertised dates, starting with the TV taping on Monday in Nuevo Laredo and Miss Raw, which it seemed like, from what I was even told, that was going to be the case. I don't know what changed. I have not been able to get that confirmed in the last 24 hours. The only other taping he was advertised for was November 15th in Ciudad Juarez, and he's booked the day before in Minehead, England, and then traveling to Greenville, South Carolina. This is a mess.
Yeah.
This is a complete freaking cluster mess here. And you have to get him on one date to drop the mega heavyweight title. And now it looked like dates you had confirmed, now looking like, I don't know. Man, I'm shocked that Vince is being this picky here, considering he got what he wanted, let the guy do the right thing and let him go, let him finish up his obligations, and then you have him.
Man, it's a double-edged sword from my point of view. My question here I gotta ask is, since Cena's not gonna be part of this tour, who's holding the other end of the tour? Is this Seth Rollins?
It's Seth Rollins. It's Rollins. Orton's not on the tour.
Yeah, but who's Rollins fighting? That's the thing. Because when I heard you said there was gonna be a Roman leg of the tour, since Survivor Series is coming up, I thought it would be Roman versus Seth for the title. That's usually something they would do on a house show look like this. Would it be Seth Rollins versus Ambrose, and then maybe do Reigns versus Wyatt again? I don't know. I heard Undertaker's be part of this European tour too. So I mean, who knows?
So I don't know what they're doing on. Let's see. They haven't announced who's on the Seth Rollins tour. Tyler Breeze against Ziggler, and New Day against the Dudleys is about as much as I know on that. But that's so interesting. It's I feel bad for AAA. ADR, I know he's not that type of guy where he doesn't. He gave AAA plenty of notice. He wanted to fulfill the dates.
Yeah.
I'm shocked WWE's just not letting him. Okay, you had obligations. Fill them. You're going to be here. I understand wanting him to be on Raw and SmackDown. I understand, okay. But is that European tour that important? At this day of age, they sell pretty good on those European tours, regardless of who's on the show. So I'm a little miffed at that one, and we'll end with this. We want to send my regards. I don't know if you noticed moments ago. William Regal underwent another neck surgery.
Oh wow.
Yeah. He had a CAT scan about 6 weeks ago. Showed more damage to his neck and back. He had surgery on the C3, 4, 5, and 6 to clean out calcium deposits. Performed in Pittsburgh under WWE Dr. Joseph Maroon. He had a fusion surgery last year, so our regards to William Regal. There's some rumblings he was going to wrestle on this NXT tour in December. Obviously, now that's out the window, but our best regards out to the one and only William Regal.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. I don't know if you'll have any input as far as how the creative end or whatever happens, because he is a behind-the-scenes producer for NXT down at the Performance Center. So, speedy recovery to Regal. He's a great asset to the wrestling business. I don't know how long he's gonna be out, or if he's actually gonna decide to put the boots away. But it's very frustrating. So I hope he gets better.
And what's really interesting, Josh? Like you were saying, how valuable he is. Mm-hmm. The Rock tweeted about it. The Rock in his busy schedule is tweeting about William Regal, wishing him good luck.
Yeah.
So and that to me showed like what you just said of how valuable the company views him when you got The Rock. Busy as he is sending out a quick tweet and hoping that Regal is okay. So I think, we do wish the best to William Regal, and Rusev's out for a little bit here at partially torn bicep.
Oh, man.
I think this. You know what? I have a theory about this. I think this is great. You want to know why? Because right now, Rusev is staler than sliced bread. The whole thing with the engagement, and then the angle with Summer Rae. So yeah. I think this about a month off here, maybe 6 weeks, I think we'll do Rusev some good here.
Yeah, I agree with you. From my end, I think that, it's the best thing to happen for Rusev and his career right now. Obviously, I think from my point of view, I think Rusev would be left out of the shuffle as far as who's going to be the main attractive pieces for WrestleMania season this year. He had the feud with John Cena this year. I thought it was really underrated in my opinion. He was one of the main marquee guys for the younger talents as far as WrestleMania build. So I don't think he's going to be part of that this year. And did they say how long he's going to be out of action? 3 to 4 weeks from what I see here. Yeah, it's the best thing to come to him. And as we head towards the month of January, I think for some superstars, I think it's best to not have that much TV time, because as a wrestling fan or any fans of sports or UFC or blah, 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 sometimes you get tired of certain talents who have too much exposure on television week by week by week. So I guess it's the best case scenario for him. Gets the fans' minds off of ridiculous, hokey storylines. So maybe he comes back with a bang. Maybe he turns face back with Lana. Who knows? But I think it's the best thing for Rusev in his career right now.
No, I could not agree more. And our best regards also to Rusev, and hopefully he has that injury is no joke. I know people that have had it, so hopefully he recovers, and he's back at 110% in a few weeks. Anything else you want to discuss, Josh? Because I have nothing else.
I wanted to ask you, besides, we got Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins for Survivor Series, and maybe something going on with Taker Wyatt. My question to you is,
A question.
I got two of them actually.
I don't know. Two questions.
Yeah.
I gotta look at the time here. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, this is coming off tonight's show. So,
Okay.
do you have Del Rio in a one-on-one singles match for the U.S. title at Survivor Series? And the second one, what does Kevin Owens do at Survivor Series? Or will both guys just be lumped into a traditional Survivor Series tag team match?
Huh. I'm going with Survivor Series match. If we would have seen the program already, maybe ask me after Monday.
Yeah.
Ask me after Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can have I think then we'll get a better indication. If I had to go guess off today, I'll say Survivor Series matches. But let's see on Monday. Maybe we get a different tone when we get out of Raw in Denver. I don't know. Man, I'm actually stumped for once. That usually doesn't happen. I usually can have an answer, but this, no sir.
Yeah.
No sir. What was your other question? You said you had two.
Oh, my second thing is, I think for me, as we head towards the month of January, and I've been mentioning a lot during this show tonight about the road to WrestleMania, for someone like me, it's kind of a rarity because obviously the general consensus of people that were born in the 90s or in the 2000s that patience and blah, 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 millennials.
You millennials.
Yeah.
Ah.
I actually look at the bigger picture than most people these days, and I can even say that for people in past generations who work in this field that me and you work on, and I'm not going to name any names, but you know where I'm
Oh, come on. Yes, see, I have nothing wrong with naming names. If you act like a schmuck, I'm going to tell you act like a schmuck.
Yeah.
You don't get
Okay.
no, I don't really bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't know much of the wrestling media. I know a couple. I'm friends with a couple. I call them out too.
Yeah.
I don't have no. To me, it's a fair game. You want to bash me? It means you have a right to bash me. I'm not going to sit and cry about it. I'm not one of those people that whines and shut the fuck up.
Yeah. My thing is that I think a guy like Adam Roberts is kind of two-faced in my point of view. He goes on.
I like him. I can't bash him. I like him. He's a good guy. You had him on as a guest, I thought.
I was going to. It has nothing to do with that. It's just.
He stiffed you. That's why.
No, it's not that. It's just. His podcast is kind of hit and miss me. I don't know what his direct narrative is because one end he's this and then next week he's that. It's like I don't get like a general like.
Oh come on!
Feel of the guy.
How do you not like a guy that says "What's the haps"? I like that. I like Sam.
It's whatever for me, but I want to bring this up to you. This is my second question.
I thought it was about Sam Roberts.
No, it wasn't about Sam Roberts. It's about looking at the big picture in today's world of wrestling. I was telling you this earlier on Facebook Messenger. We'll talk about my annoyance about the NXT show last night.
Yeah, you were really annoyed by this. I haven't seen the NXT show yet. I'm gonna watch that after we get done here.
I thought the show was fine. Nothing really bothered me as far as what happened on the show. I thought it was a solid show. But I don't know if it's just me, but I think there's a far more overratingness of NXT than I've ever seen in anything in wrestling. I love their shows. I love their takeovers. I, unlike a lot of other people, actually watch their weekly shows week by week, so I'm seeing how their storylines are developing from here to TakeOver. I think it just goes back to today's society. Oh, if you see one thing that's good in a mix of a world and society that's overly bad and needs a lot of change, they lash onto the greatest, lash on something that's nice and cool and act like it's the greatest thing on earth. And they're not actually watching all of the shows. So you go on
Raw, and it's justified. You could criticize and judge Raw on stands because that's the biggest pro wrestling show on TV every single week. And if the show sucks, it sucks. But at the same time, I see all the time people comparing, NXT to Raw. NXT is better than Raw. I could say this, NXT on 3 hours would be at the same rate Raw is at right now. And that's my opinion because I know their product more than the so-called NXT experts out there. The NXT crowd is annoying. It takes away from the matches. They try to put themselves over. It's just every Joe Schmuck Bill from the IWC at those shows, with the exception of that little cute girl that's the Bailey fan.
Oh, I would say you can't bash the little girl now. Come on, man. She's like 9.
Yeah, I'm not going to bash her, but every other schmuck there is. And
you pissed off a lot of people. We got to, okay. We had some, you were getting some people mad here because they left. I think some of them came back, though. So keep going.
I just think from my end, people are not, okay, if you're going to judge Raw, and you're going to be, quote-unquote, Roger Ebert of professional wrestling and go minute point of every single show, you should do it for NXT, too. It's no exception. If NXT is the greatest thing in professional wrestling right now, it should be judged by those standards as well.
So what's the question? I'm lost here.
My question is...
This is a good rant.
Do you think NXT gets too much of a praise and people are not looking at the real scope of what NXT is?
There's weeks I think they get too much praise, but then when you have a show like TakeOver,
yeah,
you can't. The show in Brooklyn, the main event last month, you can't deny a lot of those shows. Those are the best shows beyond. And I watch a lot of Ring of Honor. I don't know how much you watch New Japan, but I have New Japan World, and I do watch. It's hard to watch. I have it on the subtitles. But, there's weeks that NXT is the best wrestling in the world. I'm not going to deny it, but there's weeks where the show's not that great.
And my point is...
It's like a regular wrestling show. But if I judge best wrestling in the world, there's matches I'll take from NXT over stuff I see on Raw, SmackDown, Ring of Honor, TNA, New Japan, AAA. I mean, that's not a joke. I'll match the women's matches over anything I've seen. But there's weeks, though, I do agree with you. I think they do get a lot of praise when it's not deserved. But this is how fans are, unfortunately. They see one great show, and then it's the bandwagon. Then you get all the jumpers onto the bandwagon. And then they're like, this is the greatest thing in the world, yay! When the show is not that good. I haven't watched last night's show yet. I'm going to watch it after I talk to you. I watch it weekly as you do. That's the one show I do watch every week. And I'll watch it in a few minutes here. But, no, I agree with you. For the most part, NXT is a great show. But there's weeks where the show is absolutely awful. Or not awful, but below par of what our expectations are.
Yeah, and it goes back to my point. Like, I love the product. I love NXT. I think it's a great show. But my point is, if you're just going to base your critiques of NXT off of what you see on the takeovers, I don't think you're giving their product justice, or you're not looking at it the right way, in my opinion. Because I hear all the time these podcasts talking about how can Raw ratings be fixed. And the main issue of professional wrestling right now, how can you present professional wrestling in the 21st century? I don't know what the promoters want in today's wrestling. And secondly, I don't know what the fans want in today's wrestling. Because there's a lot of back and forth. 2 years, not even 2 years, a year ago, before Del Rio was on Lucha Underground and did a bunch of cool stuff with AAA and Ring of Honor, nobody gave a crap on him about the main roster. He comes back, it's the coolest thing ever. There's a lot of back and forth here. So when I talk about NXT, and my whole point is that I don't know what the wrestling fan wants these days. Because is NXT really it? Because it's a 1 hour show and you're being delusional off this bandwagon of the NXT takeover shows. Are you really getting a fair base of what a pro wrestling fan wants these days that are going to bring back the 6 million viewers or the 5 million viewers that were there 15 years ago?
It's a valid point. I really don't know. I really don't know. I give fans credit because they're watching. I think that's a plus.
Yeah.
You know, I want all fans to watch wrestling. As many eyes on wrestling as humanly possible. It helps out your website, helps out your podcast, helps out this video podcast, and whatever is going to end up, what I end up doing with this. You know, it helps out everybody. The more great wrestling and the more wrestling there is, the better. You want quality, you just don't want quantity. I'll say I want quality over quantity any day of the week. The same thing in MMA and the same thing in boxing. You know, but you know, you're spot on in that assessment. You know, too many like we were saying, bandwagon jumpers. You know, just NXT. It's the new hip thing. It's the trendy thing, and you know, for the talent, I give them because you think about it, Josh. Also, the guys they brought in that got a lot of buzz. They brought in the Big Four. They brought in Tommy. They brought in Owens. They brought in Finn Balor. You had Sami Zayn. You bring in you have those four guys. Holy shit! The people get excited. You got four of the best wrestlers in the world in one roof, and you get great matches. And that gets fans excited. And then you got the factor of now the women getting the spotlight, the four horsemen with Charlotte, Sasha, Becky, and Bayley. You get them all together. And then you get some of the undercard guys, like you said, Enzo and Cass, Vaudevillains. You got a guy like Tyler Breeze. You got, they brought in a guy like Jushin Liger. Now you have a Samoa Joe here. And then you just brought in James Storm. So, they're bringing in guys the fans want to see. Oh, man, these guys are cool. I saw them here. Now they're here. Holy shit, this is awesome. So when you get stuff like that, fans are going to think that. I'm on your side here, but I could see where the fans say that, but I think like you said, I think the brakes need to be pumped a little bit. And some shows are going to suck. Some shows are going to be phenomenal. No one's ever happy. I'll end with that. No one is ever happy in wrestling. Always something.
Let me go back to this point, though. Is Triple H going back to what his assessment or his thesis statement is for NXT? Because this is supposed to be the showcase of the best stars coming out of the WWE Performance Center. Your guys that are over on NXT are guys that have experience outside of your company. Finn Balor, Hideo Itami, James Storm, Samoa Joe, Sami Zayn, Paige when she was there, Seth Rollins. Your guys that are over are from the indies. That's what everybody's latching onto, with the exception of Tyler Breeze or Enzo or Bayley. Besides that, or maybe even Sasha Banks in this standpoint. But I think it goes back to, I don't know, it seems like Triple H comes off as a hypocrite in this standpoint because, this is supposed to be a showcase of your best NXT stars coming off of your performance center, but you're booking just to cater to the niche product of the IWC, in my opinion.
Now, but see, that's where I disagree with you, because you look at and you brought up Seth. You forgot about one guy, that guy they want to be the man, that badass Samoan.
Good point. Yeah.
The guy they want to be the baddest man on the planet. That guy had no wrestling background. No, but that's not the point. I get the point where you're coming from, because I've heard this from people. And what I always say to people is, it's a developmental territory. You want to, and how the system used to work is, look at guys like when they brought in Cena, Rock, Batista, Orton, Punk. They all had to go through developmental. This is what they're doing here with guys like Owens, Finn Balor, Sami Zayn, the Dean Ambroses, the Seth Rollins, the Samoa Joes, the James Storms, guys like that, Sasha Banks, so on and so forth. They want to groom them for the WWE style. Still do what you do, but we're going to tweak a couple things, which is fine. Their track record's been more than proven, and it has worked with everybody. So that they've really pushed. So I disagree with you on that one. Just because this is a developmental brand. The goal of NXT is to get to the WWE. You look at the Shield. You look at the Wyatts. You know, you look at Charlotte, Becky, Sasha. You said Paige earlier. You know, now Tyler Breeze is on the main roster. You look at Tommy was at WrestleMania. Sami Zayn's he's coming back soon. Him and Zayn, I think, will be next year. You're gonna get Finn Balor, Sami Zayn, Hideo Itami on WWE TV, and hopefully Samoa Joe and James Storm. And you still got a lot of talent down there that they're bringing in. So there's a reason they just signed 19 more guys, because you're gonna see that influx up to the main roster in 2016. But I do get what you're saying, and it's a very valid point. And what you're saying is right, though, because that's the criticism a lot of people have made of Triple H is, where's the development? We're not seeing, you're signing, like you said, the indie guys trying to maybe cater to the IWC, and that's a valid point too. But they're bringing in these guys because why would you not want a Fergal Devitt, a Kenta, an El Generico, a Kevin Steen, a Samoa Joe? Why in the fuck would you not want those guys in your company? Regardless, even if you keep some of those guys down there just to help the talent of tomorrow, in the case of like maybe a Joe and a Storm, god damn, man, you got them under your roster? Fuck to the yeah. I'll take that all day if it's going to enhance the bottom line. It's going to bring more eyes to the product, because that gives you a job, that gives me a job. But I do see your point, though, because it is a very, very, very valid point, and a point that isn't really discussed enough, and I'm glad you brought it up.
I agree with you with a lot you said there, Steve. I agree with you. Who wouldn't want a Owens, a Balor, or Zayn, or whatever? My point is, I think there should be a balance of your product, of your NXT show.
I agree. No, you're exactly right.
Because you have Owens and all these guys that have experience there, why can't you showcase Baron Corbin more, or more of your other guys that are part of that SCW brand and move into your performance center, or other guys that you sign that don't have any indie experience? My main point is on this is that you need a balance of in between, because you're giving your fans a clash of what your actual show is. Is this a super indie, or is this a developmental show to help build stars into the main roster of the WWE?
But if you're bringing a guy in like Owens, you want to build him to be a star, right?
Yeah, but I can go back.
But what are you going to do? Are you going to hotshot him to the main roster and no one knows who he is?
No, but my point is Rhino going to enhance him? Do you need a James Storm to come in? Do you need Jushin Liger to come in?
Yeah, because you know what? That helped Tyler Breeze. Really did.
Not really. He lost the match.
It don't matter. See, it's not. See, this is the thing that kills me. It's not always about wins and losses. Tyler Breeze. It's not. And that's been proven. People think, oh, this guy needs to win. He needs to win. If you can't stay over after a loss, you were never over to begin with. That has always been my rationale when it comes to wrestling. And I've heard Jericho say that before. And actually, I said that a while ago, and Chris Jericho retweeted it, because I put him in the mention. And but you have to. And I get what you're saying, because guys like Baron Corbin, and I love Baron Corbin. He's a great talent, and I think he's going to get there, and he can be a guy that can be a very instrumental part of that company in the future. But you also have to look at, they signed 19 guys, and not many of them have a wrestling background. Yeah. They really don't. So I look at it as they had this wave of just talent that really didn't have a wrestling background. And then you brought in the Zaynes and the Owenses and the Balors and the Kentas and the Joes and the Storms, and it goes in, help the other guys get over. They're going to leave. Now you get this new crop coming in. I want to give it a chance, see what happens, and then in a year, either one of us is going to be right and one of us is going to be wrong. But to me, there's no right or wrong. Because you know what, though? It means something good is happening because we are talking about it.
Yeah.
And it pisses you off to a point. It pisses me off. And you know what, though? It's great fucking banter. End of the day, banter. And it's a hot button issue. And this will drive people to watch NXT. Watch Monday Night Raw, Friday Night Smackdown, Thursday Night Smackdown. Go to the house shows. And on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it's a win-win all around. Hopefully, though, like you said, I would like to see some more guys in there. But you can't just have green guys facing green guys. You got to have some veterans in there, like a Rhino and a Storm and a Joe, to face the bigger and Corbins, and the Tyler, bring in a Liger to face a guy like Tyler Breeze. It's going to help those guys out because they're going to be better in the ring.
Yeah.
If that's going to be my bottom line, to get these guys that need the experience and need to get better, I can't think of a better partner for Baron Corbin than Samoa Joe. Same thing with Tyler Breeze. You're facing a legend like Jushin Thunder Liger. Sign me up. When Corbin teaming with Rhino, I think that Baron Corbin, they're grooming him, putting him in with a program with Joe, putting him in with have a tag team with Rhino. It's a win-win for a guy like Baron Corbin. I think who they see money in, and they're giving him that experience by being in the ring with the Rhino and facing a guy like Joe.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, Steven. I agree with you. And I don't want to come off like saying like, oh, I hate NXT or whatever, because I don't enjoy their product. I just want to point up somebody that actually watches their product every single week. And my main point is, as an audience viewer and a fan of NXT, I'm misled to what this show actually is.
I get you, and it's a valid point, and it makes sense. I can't find, and I remember when we were both at Between the Ropes.
Yes.
And I needed someone, because I handled all who wrote what, so on and so forth, and I had you do NXT. You love NXT. That's your show. I know how much you love it, because if anyone knows how much you love that show, it's me. I'm the one that gave you that original assignment. And you knocked it out of the park like you knock out everything out of the park with what you're doing. And you breathe NXT, and I respect that. There's no right or wrong answer. I could be wrong. You could be wrong, but you know what, though? That's what makes for a great debate. There's no right or wrong answer. You have your view. I have my view. Make the world go round. In a big, nice, giant circle. But great banter for today, and that will be it. Josh, where can the fans find you on Twitter? Where can they find that beautiful, sexy podcast that you have, my friend?
Right here down below under my name is at WZ Josh Lopez. You can follow me on Twitter. I'll follow you back. I'm also on Twitter at PW Show _ Pro Wrestling Experience Show. Pretty simple for you guys. We're live every Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time on ChicagoLandSportsRadio.com, on the TuneIn app. If you want to download it there, or just hit the live link on the station's website. Got the podcast up there in case you ever miss it. We have our podcast on iTunes and Stitcher. I dropped a new podcast today with ProWrestling.net's very own Jason Powell. That audio I recorded from yesterday, just about 30 minutes. We talked about a lot what me and you talked about on Sunday. Do you pull the trigger here with Roman Reigns becoming the WWE champion? That was one of the main marquee points there. We talked about his thoughts on Undertaker and Bray Wyatt, and why he feels like it'd be nice to see a different side of Undertaker, and maybe him and Kane are part of the Wyatt family. And we also talk about Raw issues, what can be done for WrestleMania this year. Really nice, interesting conversation from two guys from two different eras of wrestling. It's about 30 minutes. It'll go by quick, and I think you guys will enjoy it. Besides that, like I said, at WC Josh Lopez, if you have any questions about professional wrestling, sports, or music, I'm your guy. I'm a student of game professional wrestling, and also I do some articles for WrestleZone.com, weekly SmackDown and TNA recaps, and of course I cover all WWE pay-per-views.
Man, that sucks. You get that TNA beat, man.
Yeah.
I shake my head because I feel bad for you. I really do. But you know what, though? And I look at it this way. And I was teaching today at Illinois Media School, and a kid asked me about kind of like about the business and MMA and this industry and so on and so forth. And I'm like, you know what? Take whatever. Whatever gets your foot in the door, and if TNA Impact Wrestling gets your ass in the door, so be it. You're the best play-by-play. You're the best play-by-play writer in the wrestling industry. That's not just a shoot. That's not just me giving you a script. That is a fucking shoot, ladies and gentlemen. The best play-by-play writer in the business. I've worked with them. I hired him at BetweenTheRopes.com. This guy is absolutely phenomenal. So make sure you follow his stuff. And hopefully you'll get the Monday Night Raw gig soon. That is where the action's at. And I want to thank your employer, WrestleZone.com. They retweeted this podcast, this live video podcast, and I want to thank them so much for that. 49,200 followers. Hopefully we get a little bit of that. So I want to thank those guys at WrestleZone.com. I give it. So thank you so much. And what are you doing for Halloween? What does a Josh Lopez do on Halloween?
Good question. I watch the WWE Network. That's what I do actually.
Oh man!
Because going back to your point, I appreciate the words you just said right there. I don't know if I'm better than this guy or that. I'm still kind of young in this business, and I'm trying to grow and learn each and every day. And no matter if I'm covering a TNA show or when I was doing NXT and Lucha Underground for Between the Ropes back then, I always try to learn something about this business. You know, I'm not part of it. My goal was to be either a creative writer or an announcer. I never wanted to be a professional wrestler, so I never went to wrestling school. So my only way to actually learn about this business is actually watch the shows and learn from there and study from watching the products. You know me, Steve, I'm not much of a dirt sheet guy. I don't need that as my point of reference as my knowledge for professional wrestling. I'm on the dirt sheet site, but I don't report that stuff. I mean, it's basically a platform for wrestling fans to discuss on topics in the world of professional wrestling, and I'm fine with that. But for me, when I'm covering a TNA show, I try to learn something new, what to do and what not to do, and I think that helps out with my podcast and everything I do. So on a Halloween day, I'm not passing out candy, that's for sure.
Now, do you guys get a lot of trick or treaters?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, we do. For Halloween weekend, I'm not sure yet. Maybe I'll go out or something. Sunday, I'm going to watch the Bears-Viking game. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Bears!
And then I'm going to have the house to myself for the next couple days. So, yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun.
There you go. I am doing nothing. Tomorrow, I'm going to relax. I'm going to do a little work for sporting news. We're on Rondomania until November the end of UFC 193 on November the 14th, so that's still going on. But nothing, man. I'm gonna pass out some candy. I'm gonna drink. I'm gonna drink some more. I don't get many weekends where I can just drink, so we're gonna sit back on Saturday afternoon. We're gonna watch some college football, pass out some candy. My wife says I can't get drunk until after the kids leave. So I'm debating on that one, but I will be drinking afterwards at least. Sunday, I'll be doing what you're doing, watching the Bears, watch my Cowboys, and then nothing, man. And then I will see you Monday Night Raw, and that'll be the next time I really do a lot of work. And you can find me on Twitter at SMuehlhausen MMA, MUEH. Follow with Ronda Rousey. That whole situation with her bowing out of the media call. I released an article today for Sporting News on Carlos Condit for his fight at UFC 195 main event against Robbie Lawler. And tomorrow, actually, I don't know if it's up yet, but a piece on Holly Holm from that conference call. So that should be up pretty shortly. And that is it. If you want to follow me on Facebook, Steve Muehlhausen. I don't promote my Facebook too much like you, Josh, so I'm not on that either. But thank you, everyone, for watching. We had a lot of viewers coming in and out, so thank everyone that did watch today. I greatly appreciate it. For the handsome man known as Josh Lopez, I am Steven Muehlhausen. We'll see you Monday night following WWE Monday Night Raw.
Yes. Get the book.